Hi friends, my name's Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my second quarter wrap up, plus I'm going to be getting ready. I'm doing my makeup and talking about the books that I read during the second quarter, which was April, May, and June. I was honestly debating whether I should do this or not because I had a pretty terrible time the second quarter, like reading wise. I was going to do the mid-year freak out book tag with just books from my second quarter, but when I went to look at the questions, like I literally couldn't like pick a book for each question. It was chaotic. It wasn't a great quarter, the second quarter reading wise. My first quarter was great. I read a couple of favorite books of all time, but this time around it was not so great. So yeah, like I said, I was debating because I honestly read a lot of graphic novels, didn't read a lot, and then the books that I read didn't really enjoy, so I guess you're gonna hear me rant about some books right now. And while I get ready, do my makeup, I don't remember who, but someone told me on Instagram to do like my makeup routine, which I don't know why, because I feel like I'm terrible at makeup, to be honest. And honestly, in the comments below, if you want to tell me if I'm doing something wrong, please feel free to do so and like give me suggestions, because I don't really know. I mean, I do my makeup every now and then for work, going out, but I'm no makeup artist, to be honest, so I don't know. And then also I saw my friend Lauren from Lauren Loves Reads. She did like a little get ready with me, and she was also talking about some books that she had just read. So that's why I also decided to do this fun little video. And then I also have to film a book haul after this video, so I was like, I already have to do my makeup, so let's film it and talk about some books. I will try my best to talk about what I'm putting on my face while I talk about books. And then also I own some of these books, but I am too lazy to put the books like somewhere near me, or like I can't really hold a book up and do my makeup at the same time, so you're just gonna see a whole bunch of pictures, and editing me, it's gonna hate that. First things first, I gotta put these little bangs away. I'm honestly so sick of my bangs. I'm gonna let them grow. Okay, I guess. Okay, so to start, in the month of April, I read 8 books, and I started that month reading Lovesickness by Junji Ito. And I'm also gonna start putting some primer on my face. I used the Fenty Beauty, I think it's like a matte pro filter primer. This is like the best because I have really oily skin, so this is what's worked for me like the best. So like I said, I started with Lovesickness by Junji Ito. I've tried Junji Ito, like I think this was my first book, but since I've tried reading more by him, and I don't know if it's because they're so thick, but it takes me so long, and for it to be a manga, I usually read them in like a day. Lovesickness by Junji Ito, I think on Goodreads, let me check really fast, I gave it a 4 out of 5, but looking back, I think it's like a 3.5. So if you don't know, Junji Ito writes like manga horror novels, and this one is about pretty much about this little city in Japan, and there's like this place where it's like crossroads, and you get your fortune told. But a lot of girls, when they go get their fortune told, it's like they want to know about love, so that's why I think that's why it was called Lovesickness. And basically like a week or days later they like die if you get your fortune told. So that's what I remember the most from the story, but that's really it. I like don't remember it very well after the fact. But I will say that for manga, for me specifically, I prefer like slice of life sad mangas if I'm gonna read one, so this was a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, next I'm gonna do my foundation, which is not even a foundation, it's a BB cream. I use this Maybelline BB Dream foundation. Ew, I feel like a makeup person. This is, yeah, BB cream, BB Dream Pure, whatever, Maybelline, I don't know. Yeah. I don't really use foundation. This is the best for me, and I put very little on my face, to be honest. and that's what I like, so I don't know. The next book that I read was a reread, and that was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I was attempting to do the read along that Christina and Hannah from Hannah's Recent Reads are doing, but I mean, I read Throne of Glass, I read Assassin's Blade and stuff, but Air of Fire I cannot get through. I think I'm gonna give up, honestly. This is the second time that it happens that I get to Air of Fire and I just cannot do it. I did love Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass a lot. I gave Assassin's Blade, I think I gave like a 5 out of 5 star, and Throne of Glass I did give a 4 out of 5. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time reading it. If you don't know what Throne of Glass is about, are you even on booktube, to be honest? But Throne of Glass is pretty much about this young, I think she's like 16 or 17 years old, and she's like the best assassin of all of Otterland. I think it's what the place is called, the world. And it's basically like a young adult Game of Thrones. It's just the Air of Fire book. I think it's like the third one. This is the second time that I like try to read all of it through, and I can't get Throne of Fire. Like, it's just not for me, I guess. Or I don't know, I go through like phases where I really want to read fantasy, and then I don't know, like I just fell out of it, I guess. So maybe in a couple more months I'll want to read some more fantasy, and maybe I'll pick up Air of Fire again, but we'll see. I feel like at one point I'm gonna be like talking just about books because I do my makeup pretty fast, so we'll see. But the next 2 books that I read were graphic novels. I read a lot of graphic novels because I did not want to read. So I read The Tea Dragon Festival by Kay O'Neill. 5 out of 5 stars. I love those books. If you haven't read The Tea Dragon Society, that's the first one in like this little series. It's very cutesy. It's all about like these little fairies and animals and teas, and it's really cute. Just read it. And then I also read The Sprite and the Gardener, which was a similar feel to the Tea Dragon Society Festival thing. Again, super cutesy. That's what I like in graphic novels, so I believe I also gave it like a 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, next I'm gonna do my eyebrows, but do not judge me if they look crazy because my mirror is pretty far away and I usually get like all up on my mirror, but because I'm filming this I won't get all up on my mirror, I guess. So the next book that I read was The Grimrose Girls by Laura Pohl. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. I was a little disappointed. This book is pretty much about these girls in a boarding school. It is a sapphic novel as well. I really like the boarding school and creepy vibes, but it just did not execute the way that I wanted it to. And if you don't know, this book is pretty much about these girls in a boarding school and people just start dying, but they're like recreating like the classic fairy tale novels. Like, if you don't know, like the classic grim fairy tales like Cinderella and Ariel and all that don't end the way that like Disney movies do. So basically this serial killer at their boarding school is recreating like these like classic fairy tale murders, which it sounds like an amazing premise, but it just did not it was not great, unfortunately. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I did enjoy my reading experience, and also the creepy vibes were like really there, but besides that I just didn't really like the characters and other things. I don't know. Next up, more graphic novels because I was in a reading slump. I also read Princess Ever After by Kay O'Neill, and also Aquicorn Cove by Kay O'Neill, and I was just going through a phase where I just wanted to read everything by Kay O'Neill. Princess Ever After is pretty much like the classic saving the princess, but it's just a princess and the other person that's saving the princess is also a girl. So this one's also a sapphic romance novel, and I really enjoyed it. It's just really cute. I love Kay O'Neill, and her art and her stories are just super duper cute. I just realized I totally forgot to show some of the stuff that I'm putting on my face, and I look insane right now. I always use the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. It's really popular. I'm sure that you've heard of it. The next book that I read was A World Without Princes. This is all in the month of April also. A World Without Princes, which is the second book in the School for Good and Evil. At the time, I think I gave this a 4 out of 5. Looking back, this is probably like a 3. I honestly can't remember very much of what happened in this book. I pretty much started the School for Good and Evil series because there's going to be a TV show coming out on Netflix, so I really wanted to read it before the show came out. And if you don't know what The School for Good and Evil is about, the series, the first book is basically this little like town, and every couple of years or something, 2 kids get kidnapped, and when they get kidnapped, they are put in a school for good and one school for evil. And basically the school for good just kind of teaches you how to be like a princess and like the hero of the story, and the school for evil, it's like it teaches you how to be a villain. So the 2 girls that get kidnapped, they're best friends in their little town, and they get put in separate schools, and it goes from there. I can't wait to watch the show. In the first one, I really enjoyed my time, but like I said, I cannot tell you what happens in the second one, and I don't want to tell you because it would be spoilers. But yeah, I couldn't tell you because I don't remember. The next book that I read was The Tea Dragon Tapestry, which is another graphic novel. And this one also 5 out of 5 stars. Kay O'Neill is from the Tea Dragon Society series, so you know. And after concealer, I usually do my powder, and I use, this is new. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour wear powder thing. It's like a cream powder, but I just use it as like a powder. I don't use it as foundation. This is like the famous like TikTok powder that went viral recently, so it works really well. I really like it. The next book that I read was Cinder and Glass by Melissa Cruz. I absolutely hated this book. This is probably like a 2-star for me. I was like really hoping that it had like all of the Bridgerton vibes, because at the time that I read this, the second season of Bridgerton had just come out. But this was literally like exactly like Cinderella, with just like a couple of different like French things put in there, but that was it. And I really did not like this book. It was very like, I would say this is more middle grade than YA, like, to be honest. Like, this was very childish type book. I'm sorry, I'm just like roasting all these books, but I did not like this one. This was probably like a 2-star. And then after that one, I read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, which is in the Throne of Glass series. I also gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed my time. And then after that is when I read Heir of Fire, and everything went to shit, and I will not be reading the Throne of Glass series anymore, I guess. And then the last book that I read in April was Blaze Rat Games by Amparo Ortiz. I actually had a lot of fun reading this book. This was like a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. If you don't know, Blaze Rat Games follows this young girl, and she wants to be in like the Olympics, but it's for dragon riding. There's like a Blaze Rat game World Cup thing. It really reminded me of like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, like that book specifically. It was really good. The main character was Puerto Rican, and she was like the first Puerto Rican girl. I don't remember, but she was Puerto Rican. Our main character was Puerto Rican, and I really enjoyed that. And we read that for Brujas and Books also, and I enjoyed my time. It was a lot of fun, fantasy, dragons, so if you're interested in that type of thing. Alright, so next up are the books that I read in the month of May. So I think I also read 8 books, and the first one that I read was 14 Ways to Die by Vincent Ralph. This was a recommendation from Kiersten from Kirsten's Corner, and this is like a thriller YA novel. This one reminded me a lot of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's basically about like a young teenager who's trying to solve a murder. She gets picked to be on this like YouTube channel show, and the reason why she wants to do it is because she wants to just find out who is the serial killer for these murders that happened in her town, and one of the victims happens to be her mother. So then obviously she is targeted by the serial killer. I believe I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. And then after that I read Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I have a whole dedicated reading vlog for this book. If you know me, you know that one of my all-time favorite books is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I will say I think I am biased for that reason. I mean, I feel like it felt like a 3-star, but I just like, I'm so connected to We Were Liars by Lockhart that I had to give it like a good rating. But anyway, I have a whole video where I talk about Family of Liars. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and if you don't know, this is the prequel to We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So you have to read We Were Liars before Family of Liars, because you will get spoiled. And then after Family of Liars, I read some like comic books that I got. This was around the time that I went to Comic-Con, so I read 3 graphic novels or comics. Altered Ego by Lee Sofer, Little Red Running by Garrett Gunn, and The Wild by Lee Sofer again. Those were all for out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was for Riveting Reads, Savannah's book club, Lights Out book club, and that was The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This was another 3-star. That's why I was like debating whether or not I should do this video, because everything kind of fell flat for me this quarter. So The Hacienda, it's kind of like compared to Mexican Gothic. It has those like Gothic vibes. It's set in Mexico during the Mexican War of Independence. But again, like 3 stars sometimes for me, it's really hard for me to remember like anything that happens. So I know that I didn't really like have a great time. I did love the vibes kind of, but it wasn't very scary at all. So yeah, there's also a live show where we talked about it. Cami from Borrows and Books, Saf from Riveting Reads, and then myself. So you can go find that. I'll try to also link it down below. Also, I totally forgot, I just did the Blush and Glow liquid blush by Tarte, and then I topped it off with the Benefit Georgia blush on top. So usually I do bronzer, but I'm not really going out, I'm just filming, so I'm not doing bronzer today. So I do the matte setting spray by NYX. And then I do the highlighter, the cookie highlighter by Benefit. I saw Haley from Haley Hughes use this one time, and I couldn't remember the name of it, and I asked her, and she very nicely told me the highlighter that she uses, and ever since, this is the one that I use. Is like the best. So the next book that I read was like the most popular book on BookTube at the time, and that is Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham, the first book, The Awakening. This one, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I will say this one was super easy to read, like really fun read. It's just not my type of book. This is like a fantasy romance. Like you can tell Zodiac Academy, it has to do with like the zodiac signs, and there's like houses, and it's a boarding school, and it's like not my type of book, but I still did really enjoy my time. It was very dramatic. It's kind of like a bully romance also. It's just not what I read, to be honest. So I don't know, it's a 3 out of 5. It wasn't the worst thing that I've read, to be honest. And then the last book that I read in the month of May was They Never Learn by Layne Fargo. I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you don't know, this one follows a college professor, and I think it's every semester she picks like the worst student, not because of grades, just because of like their morals and stuff. She picks like the worst male student, and then she kills them. So this was so much fun. I did predict the twist, so that's why it's like a 4.5 out of 5, but I did enjoy my time immensely. This is a thriller, obviously, and it has all of the dark academia vibes and the college and everything. This is probably one of the only few books that I read and loved this quarter. So moving on to the month of June, I also read 8 books. I started off taking a book with me to LA, and that was One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. So this one, I do have some thoughts in my LA vlog that I did, but this one pretty much follows this mother and daughter, and they're like super close, and they have this like trip planned to go to Italy, and right before the trip her mother dies. She decides to still go on the trip. I adored the descriptions of the food of Italy and everything. Hated the main character so much. She was like, she contradicted herself so often, and she was just not a really great person, and there were some tropes in there that were like put just so things could happen in the novel. I can't really say because then it'll be spoilery. But yeah, this was a 3 out of 5, but I did love the descriptions of the food and Italy and all of that. So if you're looking for a very setting type of book, I would recommend this book. It was just not for me. After that, I read a really cute graphic novel called Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. This one's pretty much about this little garlic, and you follow the garlic, and she has to defeat this vampire, and they're pretty much sending the garlic on this journey because of the huge like myth that vampires can't stand garlic. So she goes on this adventure. I think it was the garlic was a she, I think. I don't know. But she goes on like this adventure to defeat a vampire, and it's the cutest thing ever. And there's another book coming out with garlic. I can't remember what like the adventure is about, but I'm excited to read it. I'm like trying to remember what the heck I do after highlighter. So sometimes when I go out, I do eyeshadow and I do eyeliner, but I'm not going out. So this is just like my everyday, like if I'm going to the office or like I'm just, I don't know, going out on a date or something. I don't really know. It's not too much. But the next thing I do really, it's mascara, I guess, so I can show. I got this cool Ulta Beauty Twisted Volume mascara. So it has like these little clicks, and I actually really like it because sometimes I use two separate mascaras. One that has really tiny like bristles so I can get everything in, and then one for volume. But this one has all of it in one because the brush kind of moves when you click it. So I do the setting on 1 to start, and then I do the setting on 4 for volume, if you cared. Alright, so all of the next books I all read for Sunset Books Out. So I have vlogs. I have 2 vlogs for the first 4 days and then the last days of the readathon with full thoughts on all of these, but I'll also talk about them on here. So the first book that I read for Sunset Books Out was Hide by Kiersten White, and this is probably one of the worst books that I read this year. So this was pitched kind of as like a horror competition game set in an abandoned amusement park, and I was so down for this book, but it did not deliver. There's like 14 competitors. This book is like 200 pages long. Way too many people were introduced, and also on the Goodreads page there is like a category that basically spoiled the twist for me. So that's my bad for going on the Goodreads and reading the categories, I guess. But yeah, I did not enjoy this book at all. The characters were not very memorable and did very stupid shit in the book, so not for me. The next book that I read I actually really enjoyed. It was A Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was a romance, which, so surprised that I enjoyed a romance because I usually do not. And this one follows this girl. She's like in her early 20s, and she finds out that her dad does not have a lot of time to live, and also her parents are divorced, so she doesn't really talk to her dad at all. And her dad also lives in Alaska, which if you don't know Alaska, it's very like middle of nowhere. You have to kind of fish your food, and there's not a lot, and she's a very city girl. And obviously she falls in love with one of the people from this little town. Like I said, this was a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed my time. After that, I read Patience and Esther, an Edwardian romance. This is a graphic novel, like it says, an Edwardian romance. It reminded me a lot of Downton Abbey. This is a sapphic novel as well. I give it a 3.5. No, I think I give it 3 or 3.5. I can't remember, but it feels like a 3.5. Enjoyed the romance a lot. I feel like it was super explicit for a graphic novel. Like, I've read Saga, and Saga has a lot of like sexual content in it, but this one was super explicit. Like I don't know, I feel like I didn't need to see that. Some things could have been suggested, but I did really enjoy the story a lot. I feel like I can't really do my mascara if I don't get like super close to this mirror, so sorry. Y'all may be thinking, now you're putting hella mascara on, but I'm gonna do the other setting on this. The next book that I read was The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. This was as well like pretty mediocre. It was like a 3.5, no, 3 star. What am I saying? Gosh, it was a 3 out of 5 stars. This one pretty much follows like teenagers. This is also a thriller. It's set in a summer camp. It has all of the vibes. They just don't deliver, man. But yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all you need to know about this book. It's thriller, YA, set in a summer camp. Someone dies, and then obviously there's this group of teenagers trying to figure out what happened. And you know, I like the vibes a lot because I was so excited for Hide because it was set in an amusement park, and then also for The Counselors because it's set in a summer camp and it's horror. And well, not this one, this one's thriller, the other one was horror, but I was so excited for them and they just did not deliver. And then the last book that I read in the month of June was The Missing by Modglin. Really enjoyed this one. This was a 4 out of 5 for me. This one follows this group of people, I believe it was like 5 or 6 people, that get on this boat and then they're randomly stranded on an island. This reminded me so much of my favorite show of all time, Lost. And if you know me, you know that I love Lost. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time with this book. It was very fast-paced for me. Obviously creepy things start happening. This is a thriller book, so yeah. The last thing I'm putting on my face is going to be this little lip gloss. If I'm not really going out or anything like that, I just put lip gloss on, and this is by the Selena Gomez brand, Rare Beauty. This is the color Nearly Berry. But yeah, that's it. That is how I do my face of makeup, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if I were really going out, I put a little bit of bronzer on, eyeshadow, and maybe eyeliner. But that's it. I don't really do much. I hope you enjoyed that. I will have a terrible time editing this video because of all the pictures, but it's fine. If you're seeing this, it's fine. This is the longest I've ever taken doing my makeup because I was talking at the same time, so this took like 30 minutes when any other time this takes like 15 minutes for me. So I hope y'all enjoy this. And yeah, like I said, that's it. I hope that y'all enjoyed. I will be now filming my summer book haul, so I will see you later. Bye.